relationships, trauma, philosophy, relationships, trauma, philosophy.
Hello and welcome to episode 64 of the Yalla Habibi podcast.
Welcome. We are in Hanoi.
We are in Hanoi, Vietnam, and it's treating us really well, actually.
Yeah, it's a really cool city. For a capital city, it's extremely easy to navigate and inexpensive.
Yeah, well, it's crazy cheap.
Yeah, we've had meals that were like 50p for both of us.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild. That's less than $1 for our American listeners.
Yeah, I mean, we've had full main course, side dishes, drinks on top of that, everything for like £5.
Yeah, it's ridiculously cheap. Like, and we keep hearing about how sometimes they'll give you like a tourist menu that's more expensive. I'm like, even if this is the expensive version, that's outrageously cheap.
Yeah, it's crazy. And to be fair, what you just said there is going to be a big part of our episode, which is going to be a bit of a contested discussion. I think one that we're not sure of. Well, I actually don't know where you align on it yet, but also I don't know where I align on it. So I think it'll be an interesting one. But before we do get onto that, remember to
subscribe,
like,
share,
and rate us on everywhere you listen to our episodes and podcasts. We really do appreciate it. It really, really, really helps us out more than you could ever know. Again, we're not the Joe Rogans of the world, or the Shad Married Annoyeds of the world, or the Happy Hours of the world, or the
Diary of a CEO.
Diary of the CEOs of the world. They're all very established. And I think all of them, even before podcasting, had quite an established brand as well from many different avenues, which is good on them. But we do not have that. So it really does for us. It makes a big difference. Even when we get like 2 extra likes on a post, like it makes our day.
Yeah, and comments. We really like to see comments on social media. So please, particularly we're on TikTok and YouTube. We really like to read people's comments. Love hearing when people align with us. Even if you disagree with us, please leave a comment.
Yeah, it really does help. And as we're recording this episode, I am having the most floral matcha I've ever had.
Smell it.
Yeah, smell it.
Oh,
Give it a taste.
Interesting.
It's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
As you'll know, I'm a big matcha drinker. I think like all of us, I think most people at some point have a pretty bad relationship with coffee. I think we all end up at some point realizing I drink too much coffee, and you might still drink coffee today. That's fine. But, I got to a point where I was drinking like 7 coffees a day. And I did that for years and years, and it was just an excuse to have a break, to the point where it was affecting my health. So I had to eventually find an alternative, and I found matcha. Someone introduced me into it in my workplace quite some years ago, and I haven't looked back. So that's why I'm having this matcha, which I thought was high quality matcha because I bought it in the old town, in the markets of Vietnam, in Hanoi. So I thought this is going to be top quality matcha. Now I am enjoying it, but I was kind of like, why is it so floral? So I ChatGPT'd it, which I love now. You can just take photos of things and ask it about it. I think that's incredible. And it basically said, you've got a low grade matcha. It basically said, because you have a low-grade matcha, also it's from Taiwan, where actually the best matcha is from Japan. So it's usually green leaves, and that floral taste is usually for lower grade. But apparently it still gives me the same energy properties. It's just lower-grade matcha.
Yeah, you normally buy ceremonial grade, don't you?
Yeah, I usually buy, the Japanese ceremonial grade. I like that. It's just, but apparently the quality, the effects is similar. It's just a bit, apparently the caffeine is a bit sharper, whereas ceremonial grade is just a bit of a calmer release from what I've read. But there's me thinking I've got top quality matcha because I'm in Vietnam in the markets, and I've actually got worse matcha. But anyway.
Well, we did get some really good grapes from the market.
We did. What are they called again?
They're called
Bazatos.
Moscato.
Moscato, yeah, that's it.
But it's like Moscato something grape. And they've become quite viral online. They're really big, probably the size of a ping pong ball. Sure, would you agree?
Yeah, it's just a funny thing you chose.
Well, I couldn't think of anything. That's not a golf ball size.
It genuinely is about a ping pong ball.
And They're really good, really sweet. There's no seed in them. Oh, I did have one with a seed in, but they're mostly seedless. And we did end up paying way more for them than we realised initially. I think we paid 80,000.
80,000 Vietnamese dong, yes, which is like £2.60 or £2.40.
Yeah.
It's about $3.50 probably.
But these particular bits, that was for well over a kilo and a half we got.
Yeah.
Which is, oh God, like £4 maybe, in weight.
I do not know my
I'm trying to figure out. I think there's 2.2 pounds in a kilogram. So yeah, I don't know. You guys figured that out.
Yeah.
1.5 times that, 3.6 pounds, 3.5 pounds, which I think a pound is like $8 US if you're to buy it in the States. So it should be 8 and 8 is 16, 24. It should have been $24.
Wow.
For $3.60.
Yeah.
I think.
We got it for about $3.60 and it would have been about plus $20.
I know it was like 3 times that. 6. Anyway, around 20, somewhere between $16 and $20 it would have cost. I don't know.
I just cut this whole bit, I think. No, at the end of the day, this goes on quite well into our main sort of topic of today is the original cost that she asked was, I think, 160,000. Yeah. She was doing, 1,000 for every gram. So she said 160,000 Vietnamese dong. So 160,000, that sounds like a lot, but that's actually, oh God, we're not doing very well with calculations today. That's probably like close to £4, maybe like £3.54. So we're talking probably about $6 is my guess. Now, that, if we were to purchase them back in the UK or in Europe, in US, wherever, outside of Vietnam, that would be a very good deal.
Yeah.
For those. So already what we're being quoted is a very good deal. Now, but within Vietnam, we know that person in the market is quoting as a tourist deal. You know, the cost that they've quoted as 160,000 wouldn't be what the locals pay. They'd pay more like, 60,000 or something. So they're naturally going to quote tourists. And, most people who have traveled, you don't even have to have traveled these days to know that, social media has allowed people to know the scams and people naturally will charge tourists more. And that's normal. I don't want to call that a scam, but so that's interesting to me. So my quandary, I'm going to use that word. I quite like that word, is should you, as a Westerner, should you then barter? Yes or no? Because again, the deal they're offering you is way cheaper than you would ever get at home, but it's totally fair to barter. Vietnam is a place where you can barter, especially in the markets. So that's fine. And also, they are charging you a tourist cost and they do have room to barter it down. So you could bar it down and take, $1 off, £1 off, £2 off, whatever. So my question to us on this episode is that fair? Should you barter if you're already getting a great deal compared to your hometown?
So I kind of feel like if it already seems really cheap, like if my instant reaction is, well, that's really cheap for what that is, then I probably would say don't barter. Like, I got some sunglasses for 80,000 Vietnamese.
Yeah.
It's like £2, maybe.
And they were great. They were Prada, weren't they?
Chanel.
My
name's Chanel.
That's a funny meme that British people will know. In COVID times, there was a Liverpudlian.
Yeah.
That's what they call it, which I love the Scouse accent. And I love people from Liverpool. They're just so kind and lovely.
They are among the nicest people in the country.
Yeah, they really are. And she lost, was it a parrot?
An African grey parrot.
I just wonder if, she lost the African grey parrot in COVID. And it's just
as in lost it didn't die of COVID, it flew away.
Well, yeah, it flew. It went out the door, it's gone. And there's just a really funny video of her in a very Scouse accent shouting for Chanel.
Yeah, she's like running outside, but she's filming herself like she's doing a Facebook Live to try. She's like, somebody help me, I've lost my African grey parrot, her name's Chanel. Yeah. She's shouting for her. And I do apologise to any Scousers listening if I butchered your accent. She did. Chanel was found.
I can't, how the hell do you find a bird?
I don't know. I think maybe because they are domesticated. I think she probably just went for a fly and then came back to where she knew. I don't know. I just wanted to spread wings. But yeah, and then she ended up, the woman, it's bad I don't know the woman's name, I know the bird's name. But the woman ended up on morning television.
Good morning or something.
Good morning.
Oh, this morning.
Morning,
Not
yeah.
good morning, this morning.
This
yeah.
morning, it's like a talk show.
Yeah, a morning talk
news.
show. Yeah.
And like, there's been loads of remixes like do and nip shit now.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
If you've not seen it, just give it a look. It's like a
we'll link it in the show
10-second
notes.
10-second video. Coming back, what's your thoughts, baby?
Yeah, so because she said $80,000, and that, I mean, in fairness, that is more expensive than the pair that I had before, which I think cost me £1,
Really?
£1.25. Yeah, but they weren't knockoff designer or anything; they were just cheap.
Where do you get them from? Well, nothing's wrong with Shein.
And there's lots wrong with Shein. Fast fashion, and it's destroying the planet. But yeah, so I thought £2 for a pair of nice, realistic-looking Chanel glasses. I'm happy with that. I'm not gonna try and get 20 pence off it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, 'cause there's only so far you can barter down from 80,000.
So what you said, I mean, comparing with Shein, it's not really a great example, really. But realistically, if you were buying those pair of glasses at home, you'd be spending at least, I would have put for, like, obviously if they're Prada or Chanel, whatever, it would be much more. But obviously they weren't; they were fake, but a very good fake. But if you're buying them, I would guess anywhere between, £6.50 to £10 or
I think
something.
you spend up to a tenner for a decent pair of fake designer.
Yeah, at home. So, so you're getting them for 80,000, which was about £2, about £2.50 or something.
Yeah, so I was happy with the cost. So I didn't barter, and that's what I think. I think if it's something that's really cheap for what it is, then don't. And especially if it's really cheap, generally like that, like $80,000 is not a lot at all. Like, I could, what would I've got them for 50? Well done me. Like, like I feel like, but then I'm doing them out of. I kind of feel like there's something about that. I don't want to be like in Western City, but like a bit of wealth redistribution. I don't mind if they've ripped me off a little bit compared to a local when it's already really cheap for me.
Gotcha. So do you stand on that as a whole then, not just for that situation? That is your stance, is that if it is a good deal anyway, compared to what you'd buy at home, you'll leave it as that and take it?
Yeah, exactly. And like in the places where we've got cheap food, we've intentionally left tips because it's so cheap anyway.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So for me, I find it difficult. I think I switch up, I'll be honest. I don't think I have one stance. I think sometimes I'm with you and sometimes I'm not. I think it's just what mood I'm in. Because like the matcha, I spend £10 on my matcha for 100 grams. And he gave me it for also 80,000, which again is about £2.50, about $3. So I was like, I'm saving so much money there. So I didn't barter him. But then there's other times where I know they're always going to quote me tourist tax. I know that. That's just the fact.
Yeah, realistically, if you go back with them with half of what they've said, then you're going to meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah. For me, I enjoy the bartering process, whereas I know you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's not that I mind the bartering process. Sometimes, I don't know, it depends on the situation. It depends on I tried to get some trainers yesterday and I wasn't willing to budge on what I was willing to pay. And they weren't willing to budge on what they were willing to accept. Fair enough. And then left it at that. But then sometimes, I don't know, it totally depends on the situation and my anxiety level in the moment and whether or not I'm going to enjoy it.
So why is it you didn't take the price then? Because they were charging, I think, 800,000 for these. So these were a pair of On trainers, the famous On brand. Again, obviously fake, but an exceptionally good fake. Like, if you're running them with these shoes on trails, okay, they're probably not going to last a year. But if you're just walking on pavements and just, going on, even on some forested grounds, I reckon they'll last you a few years. Like, I was feeling them. I was like, shit, these feel quite good. Like, they don't feel like they're going to break. And I buy trainers all the time for my running. I didn't see any reason why they would fall apart. The build looked great.
It was nothing to do with that. It was to do with the fact that they didn't fit my feet. Because they were too big. Like, basically, I asked for I'm a size 5.5 to share information with the listener. And they had 5.5s, but I think they might have been like I don't know. They weren't. They were too big. They were coming off a little bit. I asked for the next size down. They put an inner sole in that made it significantly small, so it didn't fit. Like if they were a perfect fit, then I would have probably been. They came down to 650, which I may have been willing to then go back with at 500 and see maybe 600 or whatever. But they weren't. I wasn't interested in buying a pair of shoes that didn't fit my feet.
So if they were a perfect fit, would you have paid 800,000?
I wouldn't have paid 800,000 no. But
So why is that?
because I think that they were not that. Oh, that's a good question.
So that's what I'm getting onto, because 800,000 down is, oh God, this maths is going to get hard, isn't it? We're going to have to start doing some number crunching here. If Shelby can just keep talking for a minute.
Yeah, well, I think because it's not like a super, it's anything. I think once I start spending above £10, then I'm going to be more considerate of if it's worth spending that money. If it's £1 here, £2 there, I'm less bothered to get pernickety over pennies, but I am pernickety over pounds. So that's why. Like, I just think, I'd have spent a tenner for them. I wasn't really willing to spend more than that. So I mean,
Okay.
1,000, that's 22 quid. That's a lot.
It's 22 quid. So 22 quid and a pair of On trainers right now. I mean, show me in Vietnamese, but I guess probably between 80,000 to probably 80,000, £80 to £100 would be my guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think they'll be over £100. I don't know for sure, but it's not the point. They're not real, are they? Like, I can't look at those Chanel sunglasses.
Oh my God, yeah, they're 180 quid. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so they are.
They're 150 to 180 pounds. So you're going to spend 20. So they were asking you for 20 pounds. So that is a significant.
But it's not, but they're not like flat. It's not an on pair of. They're not going to be made with the same level of engineering of the shoe.
Yeah, but my argument to that is the reality is this, right? People looking at them are going to believe they're on. So from look, tick, everyone's going to think they're on. The build of them, I personally don't believe if you had a proper pair of ons. I'm not saying this will be for every pair of shoes, but these look fantastically made. If you had a proper pair of ons and these pair of ons, I bet the difference in feel, bet you it isn't that much different. I bet you it is from a user point of view. From an expert, they could probably call out 10 different things, I don't doubt. But from me and you, a layman who just buys trainers because we like to look at them, whatever, just want to walk and look nice, and the feel and the use of from the user, I think that difference between spending £180 to £20, I think the difference of feeling is going to be quite negligible, which is why my argument would be that £22 seems very reasonable. And I would barter still, because I'm on the side of I would barter, but I'm just trying to question you more because you're on the side of not bartering.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think if it's something that's like a more expensive item, like the Chanel glasses, they're very good copy. A pair of Chanel sunglasses will probably be £300. Doesn't mean I'm going to pay £30 for a fake pair of glasses. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't.
It's a good point.
For me, like a pair of shoes, I don't like to spend a lot of money on certain items. Like, I want a comfy pair of shoes, which they were quite a comfy pair of shoes, but I just kind of begrudge paying more than a tenner for a fit. I'm saying this having bought a Chanel top for £15 the other day. But yeah, I don't know what it is. It's hard to say. Maybe it changes in the moment. Maybe it changes in the mood. Maybe it's because I was tired. Maybe it's because I was hungry. I don't know.
Yeah, this is why I think it's an interesting conversation, because I think with some people it will be black and white. It will be, I'm looking at Chanel sunglasses now. Oh my God. They start at 350.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So they are an expensive item, but I'm not going to pay.
Oh my God, there's a £700 pair.
And for anyone looking at these sunglasses, they're not going to know they're not Chanel.
No, they're not. Unless you come up against someone who loves sunglasses and collects them, no one's going to know. People collect
I collect them and then I sit on them and break them or lose them. That's my track record with sunglasses.
Yours is collecting them for a different reason. But I'm, people get into things like they collect watches and coins and stuff, don't they? Humans aren't going to notice it. These a really good fix. And I think because a lot of manufacturing happens in Vietnam, I think that makes the quality significantly better for cheaper products. And I've really noticed that here. Whereas other countries, when we've bought cheaper products, like, you know, even stuff off like Shein, like you feel like, God, this
the quality is
this
bad.
is a piece of crap. And that's not everything, but there has been quite a few orders. Whereas here, everything I've bought that's cheap, like I bought some North Face,
It's got big quote marks for the non-visual.
non-visual viewers, and I have North Face sort of trekking trousers, which I can turn into shorts, and I got a coat which was called Asatrix or something, which is a really big brand here, and it's brilliant. Like again, I feel you can usually tell by feel and like just, and I wore, you know, the trousers all yesterday. They were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant. They felt great. They were airy. They were light. They had loads of pockets. Nothing's broken. Like maybe they'll break in through. I don't think they are gonna though. I think the quality is much higher here. So it's interesting. I think that for me would also go into my decision metric is that in Vietnam, I think I'd be more willing to pay what they quote me. So for that, I did pay what they quoted me for the North Face stuff.
Yeah, that was a shop that was there rather than a marketplace. I think they'd be less likely.
That was a shop. Yeah, you're correct. You can still barter in them. You can still barter in them. Like, for example, she threw in like a free, a waterproof case for my coat. So for me, it's not black and white. I think for other people, it would be. They'd be very passionate. I think there'll be a portion that'll be quite passionately, no, I would just, you know, pay for it because, you know, I'm giving back, I can earn it. And I think that's totally respectable. For me, I don't think there's a right or a wrong. I think you could argue that one is kinder, but I don't think either is wrong because my view is at the end of the day, they are still charging you, a non-local cost. They are giving you tourist tax. Therefore, I feel like it does give you reason to barter. And at the end of the day, they have the control, you know.
Yeah, they can say no. You know, if it's not a good deal for them, they won't let you take it.
Yeah, so they can do that. Of course they can. And what I've noticed here is everyone's very respectful and everyone keeps to what they quote. Once we've got a deal, everyone goes, yep, sound. And even, I want to make them very clear, even when we've given them a bigger note, because we don't have a small note, they've given us the exact change back every single time.
Yeah, they haven't like tried to keep more or anything.
No, they've not tried to twist their arm. They've been like, once the deal is locked in, they're like, yep, cool. And it's very respectable. So whilst I might not feel great about it all the time, I do lean on the side of bartering. But I will admit that I don't always feel positive after.
Yeah.
I don't.
No, it's a difficult one. Your people, my dad does this thing like, you know, we're in Spain as kids and you get people on the beach coming and showing you watches and whatever else, or in the restaurants. And if we were buying something, he'd barter them down like to a really good price and then he'd give them what they originally asked for. He just enjoyed the activity.
That's probably the proud. Again, I don't think it's a right or wrong, but I argue that's probably one of the, if you enjoyed the bartering process, do that and then give them it anyway.
Yeah.
That's probably the kindest approach, right? Because you get something for you and they get something for them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's an interesting one. I'd love to know, you know, maybe we'll put a question on this episode, to see what the polls say, but let us know.
Let's put a poll.
But there we go. And there have been cases where we've just given some people money anyway, when we just like, they're just so sweet, like that guy the other day. But alrighty, well, I want you to tell them about Pho, my darling.
Okay, well, Pho is a prostitute. Sorry, a sex worker. If you pronounce it so, the PHO, like the restaurant chain that we have in the UK and probably many other places, and the traditional Vietnamese dish with like noodles in broth and vegetables and all that, it's actually pronounced pho, a bit like a fur coat. And I'm conscious that we may have listeners that are like, no, it's not pho, it's pho. Like, because Vietnamese is a tonal language. So, you know, if you say pho and like go down, that's different to pho.
Yeah.
So apologies if I just said something really offensive in Vietnamese there. But it's pronounced pho.
I found that's common in Southeast Asia. The intonation and the tone can massively influence what you're actually saying. Yeah. So be careful with that one if you come to Vietnam. I mean, everyone here speaks fantastic English, by the way.
Yeah.
Everyone speaks fantastic English. But before we do get on to our next segments, we want to let you know about a very exciting episode coming up.
We do. Next episode, we have a very, very special guest on. Yeah, I'm really excited for people to hear this one.
Yeah, his name is Wells Jones. You can check him out before the episode, but I'll give you a little info on him. And he is an Antarctic explorer. He did 3 seasons with the US Navy's VXE-6 squadron in Antarctic. He was doing pararescue in Antarctic. That's insane. He's one of only 7 people to have free-fall skydived in the South Pole, 1977. Goodness, he's done all sorts. He's also starred in films that you probably know about. He has starred in The Lone Ranger, which had Johnny Depp in. He starred in Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, which I know you're one of your favourites.
Yeah, it's a good film.
Which had Tina Fey, Margot Robbie, and Martin Freeman. I love Martin Freeman. He's in Gold, Persecuted, Rust, TV shows like Killer Woman, In Plain Sight. He is a real established, incredible actor. And on top of that, he's also a pretty amazing and very interesting guy with lots and lots of stories.
Yeah, he's written a brilliant book as well called A Line in the Sand, which we'll talk about in the next episode.
Yes, it's about his Middle East adventures, but it has a really interesting, the reason for it is really interesting, and it will create a lot of discussion at the end of the episode. I don't doubt that you'll go give it a read as well. So do keep an ear out for that next episode. It's going to be a bit of a longer one because honestly, he just had so many interesting things to talk about. We could have spoken to him for about 3 hours, couldn't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So definitely keep an eye out for that one next week. But it might be time for Scott's WTF of the week. Every week the world gets a little weirder. Let's talk about the strangest thing that went down this week. Now, this one, I'll be honest, I'm a little late on, but I've been saving this one because I just love it.
Okay.
Because the Scotch egg is just very British. It's just something that most people, I think, out of the UK don't know what it is. Like, if you say a Scotch egg, they just like, what? Like an egg. So it's basically, there's a boiled egg, and then there's batter around it, like breadcrumbs, isn't it? Like breadcrumbs around it. It's first mincemeat. Sausage meat, isn't it? So I've got that wrong.
I'm the vegan, don't quote me on it.
So it's a boiled egg, sausage meat, and then a breadcrumbs around it. It's very nice. But it's funny because the egg is completely boiled and just sits within this like ball. Like it's like if you cracked it open, like took off the batter, and it would just be a perfectly boiled egg. But British chefs whipped up actually the world's largest Scotch egg recently. It's gone and got a Guinness World Record for Phoenix Ross and Ollie Patterson. Phoenix Ross, wow, that's a cool name. Social media chefs they actually smashed the Guinness World Record, and it was a staggering 17 pounds and 3.48 ounces, beating the nearly 20-year-old record of 13 pounds 10 ounces. So he absolutely smashed it. So yeah, all right, I didn't realize this, but the secret to it is it wasn't a chicken egg, it was an ostrich egg, which makes a lot of sense actually, because ostrich eggs are massive. So again, it's wrapped in sausage, breaded and fried, and the first to try fell apart of lifting. Yeah, once they cut it open, it probably all fell apart. Wow, it was 1.3 inches around. Jesus. Yeah.
Like a human.
Eyes like a human. It's massive. Absolutely massive. I'm sure it's been all eaten now.
Probably. Preserved and put in a museum. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. It's going to be a pretty stinky artifact, isn't it?
Yes. Wow. Giant Scotch egg.
Giant Scotch egg. I like that one. I think it's quite fun.
It's fun. Well, it's time for Shelby's Good Vibes Only, so let's take a break from the chaos. Here's something to make you smile this week. Shelby's Good Vibes Only. And this is a very Shelby-coded story, I must say, because it's from New Mexico. And I lived for a year in New Mexico.
You did.
So New Mexico offers free childcare for all. It's become the first US state to guarantee free universal childcare for every resident, regardless of their income. And that initiative begins on the 1st of November, so that's coming up. Governor Michelle Leon Grisham called it a groundbreaking new initiative. So I apologize if I mispronounced that name. But they said, by investing in universal childcare, we are giving families financial relief, supporting our economy, and ensuring every child has the opportunity to grow and thrive. It's going to have such a significant impact on people. So families will save an average of $12,000 per child each year. That's insane. So like if you have 2 children, like that's
significant.
Yeah. You're saving $1,000 a month per child. And the poverty rates in New Mexico have already fallen under early childcare expansions. Wages were raised to match the real cost of care, like, the people that are looking after the children. And a new $12.7 million loan fund will help build and renovate facilities. Experts have described the program as a generational change and a potential model for the nation. I mean, that would be unbelievable. I mean, during the war, childcare was free because women had to go to work. When men had gone to war, typically, then the women had to go into the factories, do typical, what would have been described as male jobs at the time. They kept the workforce going, they kept industry going. And so childcare had to be provided, obviously, because, men are at war, women are at work, who's looking after the children? So in times of need, childcare has been free, and that allowed the country to continue and thrive. So I think that this is a brilliant initiative by my home state, New Mexico.
Your home state. Yeah, I know you've got a lot of love for New Mexico. And what I find really interesting about the states is how they just govern themselves. And I just find that such an interesting thing to say the US is one country is, from a traveling point of view, I just think is quite laughable because the states are so different. Like in Europe, those states would be countries. So I know it is a country, but I don't really classify it as one country because it is just, they're so different. These states are so different. They govern themselves and they can able to implement. It just shows they act like countries as well. So I guess that was a bit of a side note, but I think this is great. I think this is really good. And, with a lot of negative press coming out of the US, I think this is a positive thing. And I think this, fingers crossed, other states, get on board.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think if they do, it might start to get traction. Maybe not in Texas.
You never know.
You never know. But there we go. Another adventure wrapped up.
Just before you do that, Scott.
Oh, yes.
The listener needs to remember.
Shelby, well done. It's usually me reminding you. Well done, baby.
To subscribe.
Like.
Share.
And please rate us on all the platforms. We do really appreciate it. TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, in as many places as we possibly can. And hopefully the audio is a lot better on this episode. We're using a new platform called Riverside, not sponsored, to hopefully improve the audio. And we do apologize about the echoey audio on the last one. It can be a little bit difficult when traveling and you're in different accommodations. Fingers crossed for this one. But there we go. Another adventure wrapped up.
But the journey never ends.
Keep your bags packed for the next one. And remember, when in doubt, just say,
Yalla
Yalla Habibi.
Habibi.
See you next time.